And then by late afternoon into the evening hours, we expect there are some few areas experiencing rain and thunder. Those of us over the western regions, and then they're slightly north of the coastline, and then parts of eastern and border regions are earmarked for isolated cases of thunderstorms with rain. In terms of temperatures, we expect those of us in the north to record 38, 40 degrees Celsius. Moving down to the middle sector, Kumasi, Sunyani, Petakrachi, Dambai, and its environs, Koforidua, all will record 34, 37. For Greater Accra, 33. Those of us in Secondary Takrady, we are likely to record 32 for today. For the sea, we are expecting it to remain rough, but then we don't have much wind and thunder clouds, so they can go out and do their fishing activities, but with caution. The water lake this morning to late afternoon is also pretty cool for fishing activities. Late afternoon, those of us down the Kwame Danso, down to the Akosombo area to pour. We are expecting the rain and thunder cloud formation. So as usual, they have been on the lake for quite a number of years now. So once the clouds start becoming darker and wind started picking, then they have to retreat and go back home. So for today, this is what we are expecting.
Thank you so much, Felicity, for that update. Grateful, as always.
We are also grateful for having us always.
And that's Felicity Hafianyo. Straight now into the headlines. It's 18 minutes after 6 here on 3FM 92.7, a Sunrise Morning Show. Your Urban Lifestyle Radio. On the BNFT says how livable is the living income for cocoa farmers, and startups raise record of $212 million capital. Also engage in responsible mining using improved technology. President lauds the intervention of commodity monitors, gold catcher machine, and banking. Standard Bank may recapitalize Ghana unit after debt provisions. Also, demand for T-bill surges to 3-year high, and Housing Minister urges Sukasa to extend affordable luxury housing projects to regions as real estate firm pays courtesy call on him. Saglemino. The Finder newspaper says childhood vaccines dispatched to the regions. We spoke about it here. And finally, here, Mr. President my presidency will invest heavily in agriculture. That's Dr. Friakoto, who wants to be president, our immediate past agric minister. He has been agric minister for 6 years. And he says that my presidency will invest in agriculture heavily. Police arrest key suspects in murder of soldier at Ashaiman. NIA moves to end age falsification with issuance of numbers to babies at 6 weeks. Minister for Education to close down non-performing schools. Okay. The Ghanaian Times this morning reads childhood vaccines land in Accra. Ghana Health Service begins distribution to regions. Gold catcher key to mercury-free, responsible, small-scale mining, according to President Akufo-Addo. And WHO moves to support Ghana to improve diabetes control prevention. Dr. Friakoto speaks to Nation today on future of Ghana's economy. And police arrest key suspects in connection with murder of soldier at Ashaiman. Helen?
All right. Well, I've got the Daily Analyst, the Republic Press, and the Ghanaian Observer in front of me this morning. The Daily Analyst has this to say: Education Minister to close down non-performing schools. You'll find that also splashed across the different front pages. Government prioritized Ghana card over vaccines. Alex Segwefia pictured here also saying church members drag executives to court. Mahama promises to investigate killing of 8 persons during 2020 elections. Government takes delivery of childhood vaccines after weeks of widespread shortages. Children who missed scheduled vaccines still eligible for vaccination. I think that's important for parents to note. Even if the date has passed, we're told you can still avail your wards for the vaccination.
I honestly think that delay was unnecessary.
Completely
unnecessary, and it put the children's life at risk. And it shows how, as a nation, we are not serious about the things that we ought to be serious about. We've sunk over 400 million into a national cathedral. We've paid 181 million for vaccines that were yet to 81 million, I should say, for vaccines that were yet to receive in respect of COVID. You go around and you see all the expenditure, and then you ask yourself why we are not getting common vaccines. I mean, if we hadn't spoken about it, and I remember very well when I started speaking about it on Johnnie's Bar, people said, well, he has an agenda usually against government. Now the government has brought the vaccines ahead of the schedule that they announced, because the minister said we're going to get the vaccines in a few weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks. Now the vaccines got in within that same week. As the government has an agenda against itself.
Precisely.
That's the question. I mean, you can't love your party more than your nation, because if there's no nation, there will be no party.
That's right.
So we must, at a point, be nationalistic in our thinking. Look at how the news has been splashed on all the front pages. And I'm sure they would have insisted, oh, we have brought the vaccines. Haven't you seen? Clap for us, clap for us. But should we have shot vaccines in the first place?
Putting young Ghanaian lives at risk unnecessarily, and time after time, the issue of priority and prioritization comes up. What are our priorities? Why do we seem to relegate the important things to the background whilst these very serious, pertinent issues go awry? But let's see what the Republic Press has for us this morning. They're saying Ken shakes NPP again. I'm sure you can guess which Ken they are referring to. He's pictured
Kennedy
here.
Japan.
Absolutely. He's pictured here on the front page. You see him live and in color. We'll find out what he's doing that is shaking up.
Well, he's
the
been
NPP.
speaking about gold for oil. He says it's a scam. It's another scam. He's been speaking about what do you call it? There's another one, the CI Electoral Commission.
That's right.
He says what he doesn't believe in it because in America they vote with their. You know, he lived in America for a long time. His children, some of them are citizens and all of that, and he thinks that the passport should be, you know, the accepted as well. I mean, if Ghana card is what is being accepted, people can go through all manner of means. And I don't blame him. I think that I'll blame the Supreme Court.
Right.
First of all, for telling us that we cannot use our birth certificate. Your birth certificate cannot identify you as a Ghanaian. That ruling by the Supreme Court, I'm sorry, but your birth certificate cannot identify you as a Ghanaian. This was ahead of the 2020 elections. Your birth certificate, it doesn't add up anywhere.
That's right.
In America, in Germany, in France, in Italy, in Austria, your birth certificate. So my birth certificate cannot say I'm a Ghanaian. But if Helen is able to come to say, oh, I know this man, he's Ghanaian. That's it. That's more credible than my birth certificate.
Let's move on. Republic Press again this morning. Frimpong Boateng breaks silence, blows lid of Galamsey deal. Sometimes it just doesn't really. The 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. And that's
the Ajana 1, Ajana 2.
Ajana 1, Ajana 2. 2023, Sona failed to address Ghana's future. Dr. Sam Ankra, he's pictured here, also speaking. The Ghanaian Observer, Roads Ministry exposes NDC. They say the stories are captured on pages 5, 9, and 10. Government to close down non-performing schools. First batch of child vaccines arrive. We've got a picture to go along with that as well. The Supreme newspaper is also here this morning, along with the new publisher. They have Kennedy Japan also pictured here. They say, Ken angry again. Akufo-Addo government sabotaging me and my corrupt wife not fit for first lady, and I can finish NPP. I think they've the way this is captured could be fairly misleading, but the details will be dissected.
You can finish MPP.
That's what it says here on the front page.
I honestly think that, look, all the people who want to be president on the ticket of the MPP, the Agric Minister suddenly is telling us how his presidency will invest heavily in agriculture. But you have been our agriculture minister for the past 6 years, until the 7th year when you decided that, okay, you want to be president, and so you're gone. likewise Alan Tremanting and all the others who have left government because they want to be president, not because they have failed. They think they have failed, not because they think they have underperformed, not because they think that they couldn't hit the mandate, the KPIs, but because they want to be president. That must be made clear. That Dr. Efri Yakuto resigned because he wants to contest for presidency. That's it.
That's right.
Now, he is now telling us, and I remember I had an interview with him. He's referencing the 2017-2018 agriculture census. That's talking about the absence of policy for farmers. Because I've mentioned here before that if you are a farmer, there is no single government policy for you. If you decide to go into rice, maize, whatever it is, and you're a farmer, you have 25, 30, 40 acres, you're on your own. There's no single policy. I interviewed him. I asked him about that. He rubbished it. I interviewed him. I asked him about one village, one dam. He said I should go and ask how I come sing. I interviewed him here and I asked him how many warehouses there are. He said that's not within his domain. And all these things are connected to agric. I interviewed him. I asked him about how our cocoa yields are dropping. He said, well, so when he says he will invest in agriculture as president, what is his scorecard as a minister for agric?
Is he going to be standing on policies like planting for food and job market?
Is he going to be selling plantain at the ministry or the presidency? We need to ask him that.
Yeah.
Because in the dying days of his time at the Ministry of Agric, he sold plantain, Amadam Police. That was what he was doing.
And then on one occasion, some vegetables.
But plantain was dominant.
That's right.
Now, you are the policy maker. You have no policy for the ordinary farmer. Okay? You are giving smallholder farmers fertilizer at a subsidized rate, which fertilizer at the time you were leaving office was not even available. That's one. Two, you are talking about improved seedlings and whatever it is. Also, that one, question D.
Yes, major questions about that.
Now, three, you have left all of these policy issues and now you are doing retail of plantain with police. Amadam Police. Police is there policing the plantain at the ministry, in the heart of the ministry.
He says he was trying something.
I said that was not sustainable. Are we sustaining it?
I don't think it went past 3 weeks. I don't think that.
So what exactly? Because you're trying so hard to prove that there's abundance of food. But when we go to the market, even in Amfuega, and I was working with Komla Adum, when somebody asked of the price of a tuber of yam in Amfuega, where they plant. And the person said the yam is 25 cedis per tuber in Amfuega, in the Volta region, on a hot Saturday afternoon. Bring it down to Kanishi Market, or let's go to Malamata Market, or let's go to Kaswa Market and ask how much a tuber of yam costs. That is what will make sense to the ordinary people, that you are an agric minister who says food is available and affordable.
That's right.
You are importing the food, so it cannot be affordable and available. If whoever is allowing you to import or buy from them to import into the country says, we won't give you again, that's it.
I'm surprised he's standing on agric this time around because he has serious questions to answer. Johnny, think about the state of the poultry sector.
Right.
Virtually collapsed.
It's collapsed. And I when I interviewed him, that exclusive conversation, maybe I'll have to bring that conversation back at some point.
Yeah.
I asked him about the collapsed poultry. He said, the poultry farmers are happy.
No.
How can the poultry farmers be happy if beans, maize, soya, and the other chemicals that they add to complete the feed or make the feed are all expensive? And guess what? Rice, beans, maize, soya, sorghum are the 5 things we invested over 600 million annually.
Goodness me.
On planting for food and jobs. So if those basic things, which are staples, are cereals, are expensive at this point, I don't know what more we could be doing. To the point where we are importing wheat, cassava, fish, tomatoes, onions. You should go and sleep. Well, the Daily Dispatch this morning says Energy Ministry targets distribution of 500,000 efficient biomass cook stoves by 2024. Meet Professor Francis Dodu, aka Padigo, accomplished academic and sportsman. Also starting today, except from the book Complete History of Ghana Football League by veteran journalist Ken Bediako Esquire, and NDC Primaries, 11 medical officers to contest 4 seats. That's what we have there on the front page of the Daily Dispatch this morning. Listen to Professor Kwabena Frimpong.
We got a report that they had immobilized over 750 something excavators. So we appointed somebody to go around and check. When we went around, I think we got about 150, 200 that you could see. Okay. The rest had either been given to the owners or they put in some extra parts and moved them away. Okay. And then somebody put it out there, from Bob Martin has taken 500. What am I going to do with it? There was an orchestrating scheme, even within the party and government.
To get you out.
To get you out. So that, look, why is it when I left, now everybody's in the forest? At that time, we dare not enter the forest.
Yeah.
You know, but as I said, I don't want to go into details now because I have a lot to say on that. But let me tell you that I did not take one excavator for anything. And they know the truth. Now, things are coming up. We know those who are behind it, and the party people who are there, people in government, including Jubilee House, who are doing Galamsey and so on, even now.
People in Jubilee House who are doing Galamsey. This calls for investigation, no?
Absolutely.
It calls for investigation. Yeah. And I think that, honestly, the government has been sitting down on a lot of things that are said by people within the party. Kennedy Jipon has been speaking, making damning allegations. The president presents the picture to us as if everything is okay. Professor Kwabena Frimpong is respected around the world as a heart surgeon, all of that. He got into that space, and even about him and his son's involvement in Galamsey was public. Nobody investigated that. Now he is saying that there are people at Jubilee House who are into Galamsey. But this too shall pass, like the president says.
This too shall pass. How many instances have we had where basically, you know the expression, to hand something on a silver platter? You've made the investigation so easy, sometimes even pointing a name, you know where to find the person, you know who made the allegation so that they can, buttress what they're saying with evidence if need be. But it just goes by the wayside. Time after time, government has showed a very interesting way of going about dealing with Galamsey. So increasingly, we'll see more army personnel being put there. They say we've trained some more patrolmen and women with uniform. We had some speedboats put on the river. Although at some point we had over 800 chamfangs on one river body. So what happened to all the patrol people deployed, the military, the drones, the everything? So so if government is not committed to fighting Galamsey, let's use that money for something else.
I honestly think that the government only pays lip service to it. When we complain, the government then moves in to quickly do some shakara and then say, oh, clap for us, we are working at it. And then as soon as we keep quiet, everything returns to normal. I mean, they go back there. I have always said this. Look, chamfans are not manufactured from anywhere. They are built here. Excavators, they are not sneaked in. They are brought in through the ports. So any serious government who says I'm fighting Galamsey will be interested in who is bringing in which excavator and where they're taking it to and for what purpose. That's the first one. 2, every excavator has a chassis number. Trace the chassis number. You can find the agent who imported it, and then you can also find the individual, whether it was rented or whether he gave it out on gratis, whatever it is. So when you find the excavator in the bush, you quickly look for the chassis number and connect. Now that you tell us we have paperless port, yada. You just connect it to the port. Who brought this in? When was it brought in? And what purpose was it intended for? Why is it here at this Galamsey site web? But when you see the excavator, and you remove the motherboard and you burn it, I can go and buy another motherboard and come and fix it, then take my excavator away.
Which is what eventually happens. But government also knows that as concerns Galamsey, it's a multifaceted issue. You have young people who are dropping out of school because they know the prospects in the future are not great. They turn to Galamsey and they're able to make money. Government knows that when they halt the Galamsey, they have nothing better to offer these youth.
But the point is that when government was beginning this Galamsey fight, they said, we are embarking on this Galamsey fight, one, because we will have the alternative of youth in afforestation. We'll have the alternative of planting for food and jobs. We have the alternatives of one district, one factory. And we have the alternative of one village, one dam. These three, one village, one dam, one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs. So the farms will provide the raw materials, gets into the factories, we will industrialize, and then we will export, we'll sell, and then they even added planting for export and rural development. So it was a triangle, later it was made a square. How have we implemented that? Because we have records in this country to prove that if you chase the Galamseyers, they get into felling of trees, which is why the government also brought the afforestation program that we have spent more than 20 million for. So then you come back to the conversation. How has government performed in that area to be talking about alternative employment for these people?
So it's all interconnected.
It is connected. The government knows. And I'm not quoting from any book. I'm saying this off the top of my head because I heard the president and I have kept it inside my head. So when they come trying to do the thing, we had told last week that we had 288,000 young people who have applied for YouStart, and that the intention is to create 1 million jobs in 3 years. You know, the NDC said they were going to create 1 million jobs in 4 years, 250,000 every single year. Then the NPP rushed to say we will create 1 million jobs every single in 3 years, right? This was ahead of the 2020 election. So we're supposed to have Youth Bank. You remember that?
I remember.
Now, Youth Bank metamorphosed into YouStart. And then we spent another year, that makes 2, to say we are doing feasibility studies for YouStart. And then the YouStart was supposed to create jobs for 1 million in 3 years. This was in 2021. 2022 has passed. We are in 2023. The government is talking about jobs for 1 million in 3 years, when the government has less than 2 years to live.
3FM 90.
Is this short-sightedness or lack of focus or what? What exactly?
Well, the president himself admitted during the State of the Nation address that he's been in a hurry. He says, he says he's been in a hurry to implement these things, and that's why we're seeing this.
Please, he has not been in a hurry. The president has not been in any hurry. If he really is in a hurry, he would have sacked some people by now. He would have changed. He's in a hurry.
Yeah.
Going where? He's been sleeping all over the place.
You say he's been sleeping.
I'm not saying there are videos of the president sleeping at functions.
Was he sleeping?
You're asking me.
I saw him at is it Asabako?
Yes.
That one he wasn't sleeping, wide awake.
He was wide awake.
The eyes was...
It's 41 minutes after 6 here on 3FM 92.7. This is our news review segment. And you are free to join us with your thoughts and comments on Facebook. Well, page 4 of the Finder newspaper says the Education Minister, Dr. Yaose Duchum, has challenged Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools and Principals of Technical and Vocational Education and Training TVET institutions to improve their educational outcomes or stand the risk of having their institutions closed down. He explained that a school with a constant 0 to 10% pass rate should put together intervention programs to ensure that the majority of their students will find opportunity for further studies rather than becoming a liability to their parents and society due to their inability to pass the exams. He explained that closing the schools down would help save the nation the huge financial losses being incurred by the government as a result of the existence of schools, so that the affected students would be redistributed to other nearby schools so they could continue their education. This is what the Minister for Education thinks. But a simple question to the Minister for Education: the schools that are under-resourced cannot compare with the schools that are well-resourced, have a strong old students union that supports them at every step of the term. they cannot compete.
That's right.
It doesn't make sense. In America, in California, where he worked and where he ran a school, right? There's always the support. There are basic things that every single school has, which is non-negotiable. Here, as we speak, the schools that he's complaining about, some teach ICT without electricity. Some teach ICT where the teachers or the instructors have no computers at all. We have seen teachers draw the computer and the keyboard and everything on screen. So when he's saying that he's threatening to close down the school, has he done some self-introspection to say that, look, these schools need A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H to be able to function at optimal levels. And if I give them that and they are not, then you have a case.
That's right.
But up until now, you have not given them. Plus, teachers who are, newly posted teachers are hungry.
That's true.
What are they teaching? There was a gentleman who came all the way from, is it Upper West or Upper East? The teacher, Upper West. He came all the way. He's been engulfed in, death. And he said, if he sees me, he will smile again. I brought him to the studio. Now, the gentleman is a teacher. He has contemplated suicide 3 times already.
Goodness me.
And he told me, I'm happy he didn't just tell me, he told my producer, he told Lois, we were there, we were all there. Black Rasta was the one who led him to me. Now, this man has left the school. He was in Accra, contemplated suicide for 3 times. He's going back to the classroom. There's no psychological support for him.
He's just going to go back. He is going back
to the classroom, interact with them, and you can imagine what the output will be. So when Yao Educhum sits in Accra, Oga process, and tells us that he will close down schools, I agree with him. But first, give the schools what they need. Then, if they fail to deliver, you can, after all, our state-owned enterprises are giving everything. The CEOs who are declaring losses, they are giving the full perks and everything, all the benefits. But they are declaring losses. Who has closed them down? You should give us a break, Mr. Process. Some of the things we encourage, some of the things here in this country. And that's why the people in political power take us for granted. I won't allow anybody to take us for granted. Well, Edward Kwao Mensah is watching us from Italy. And good morning, Johnny. I did my Ghana card on the 15th of May, 2022. And as we speak, we're still haven't gotten it. Nadoli in the Upper West region. Nadoli Kalio. Good morning, fellow Ghanaians. Idris Ukipo says so. Timothy Anamboyinga says good morning to all of you. And keep your messages coming in. We're live on Facebook and Twitter. You can also hashtag 3FM Sunrise and retweet at 3FM927. Yeah. Johnny's Bites are 6:50.